How is everyone doing? Thank you for tuning in. I see I have some folks from around the block here in Canada and also from Nigeria as well. So welcome. It's Real Conversation with Coach Aniekan, definitely. Now, if you're listening for the first time, is this your first time, then welcome. But we do this every Wednesday, same time. And the idea is to look at topics that we've been looking at for a bit now. Pardon me, let me just pull up my screen. And let's get this started properly. Okay, so you pull up your screen and everything is showing up. But oh my goodness, this is good. This is very good. All right, so let me pull this down here, and then this is going to be our center of attraction. So thank you very much for tuning in. Now, Real Conversation, we've been looking at the fact that before we get into the groove, let's hear from our sponsors. They make this program possible. And I'll be back after the short interlude. Welcome back, and thank you for tuning in. It's Real Conversation. About 90% of illness and diseases we found out to be that they are stress related. And therefore, your body responds more to the stressors that are around them, and you need to be observant of that and watch that as you look around things. Now, for those of you who don't know, we launched our book, 7 Easy Steps to Handle Depression, that many don't know. Last month, it's out in the market, so you want to grab a copy. It's an easy read, something you can quickly look through. Last week, we looked at a few topics. We looked at how you can create, no, this was the previous week, how you can create a workspace where you want to do your best work. We looked at you have to learn to prioritize. We looked at you have to stay motivated. We looked at using apps to your advantage, and it's part of our productivity hack series to get more done in less time. And today we'll be looking at Nugget 2. Put yourself on a lifeline or cutoff point. Now, this is pretty critical because you have to understand. Now, I'm going to come up from the screen if you don't mind. I'm just looking at us talking from here. Let me take this off. So we can look at this objectively. My mentor, Jim Rohn, said something. He said, what's simple to do is also simple not to do. The magic is not in the complexity of the task. The magic is in the doing part. So doing simple things repeatedly and long enough, it would ignite the miracle of compound effect. I read that book some time ago by Darren Hardy, Compound Effect, and it's an amazing book. If you don't read it, grab a copy. So this is the next profit. When I talk about productivity nuggets that you need to put into your coffers, it's having what I call deadlines, what I call, some folks call it deadline, I call it lifeline or a cutoff point. I've seen that too many times. I'm sitting down with a client, I'm talking with them, and they say to me, okay, coach, I want to do this. I want to be this. I want to have this. And I ask them, so what time frame are you looking at? What's your time range to this? And they're like, anytime. Anytime doesn't sound like a time. I was talking to someone earlier and I said, you could be in the season of something, but there's a time within that season for that thing to actually happen. Most times we are in the season of our lives, whatever season that is, but we always miss that time. We either focus on something else or we're distracted or something happens. So you have to understand that even in the midst of your season, you have to be cognizant of the time within your season when something is going to happen. Now, it makes sense when you look at the fact that you're saying, hey, listen, you need to have a cutoff time for whatever you're looking at. If you have a goal, what's the cutoff time? You want to lose weight, what's the cutoff time? You want to, start saving money, what's the cutoff time? When do you want to start doing this? Now, if you think back to times when you were on a tight lifeline, you had someone, maybe you're at the office, or you had something that you had to submit at a particular time. Maybe your boss asked you to wrap up a particular report for him in an hour. Or when you're trying to get your house clean before your friends or boss comes to visit. Before they show up, usually, if you know they were going to come visit tomorrow, Thursday, it's easy for you to, at least you have a whole day to get things in place and all that. But imagine if they called you that they are on their way. Now, you don't know how far away they are. All you know is that the house is not looking as neat as you would want it. So you're trying to prepare the place for them. So when they come, they can, like what they see. The truth is that we work more efficiently and effectively when we have cutoff time. I was talking to a good friend of mine, Giselle, and she said something. She said, if she's at work and her boss calls her and says she needs to do something, she needs to, add a new project or deliver on something, she would ask, when do you want it, sir or ma? And if they say to her, can it be ready in 1 hour or an hour 30 minutes? She will say to them, it's not possible. And the first thing that you will think of, what do you mean it's not possible? Yes, it's not possible. Why is it not going to be possible? Because I have something that I'm already doing now. It's going to take me another 1-2 hours to finish that. So if after I finish that, I can get to this, yes, I can do that. But if you need this done in 2 hours or 1 hour 30 minutes, I wouldn't be your go-to person to do this. Now, you have to have a concept of your time, how you use your time, how you work your time, because you have deadlines to submit this, to get this done, to get this. For instance, if you want to catch a bus, there's a particular time to catch the bus. If you don't, then you either have to wait for the next bus. If the bus takes 30 minutes, so you're going to be 30 minutes late. If it takes 1 hour before it comes, it's going to take 1 hour. So you have to understand that no matter what you have going on, no matter what's happening, keep your timeline in focus. Don't let it slip. Always, you want to do this, what's my time? What's my cutoff time? When is the last time, last date, last opportunity I have to get this done? Because once you do that and you're planning with that, I find it's a lot easy. We don't let little stuff distract us because we have put timeline. If we don't put that, what happens is that we would end up getting sidetracked, or here you are, you were doing this because you don't know you have to deliver this at a particular time. You'll jump into something else, you will get into something else and start to do something else. And while you're doing that, you jump into something else and you're doing, and you realize that you have done 3, 4, 5 things, and at the end of the day, none of them you really did, none of them really produced anything. None of them really came out the way you wanted them to come out. So you need to learn to set cutoff points. There's something called Parkinson's law. I don't know if you've heard about it, which states that work will expand to fill the time you give to it. Work will expand to fill the time you give to it. So if you want to do something, you want to clean up the house, you say, I've got 1 hour to do this. I'm going to start at 8. I'm going to finish this at 9. You will get enough done within that time. But if you say to yourself, I'll start any time, you may never get around to starting it. So if you have, and I want to use something that is a bit, for those, I know that sometimes I think women might identify with this a bit more because they like the house, they like it being clean. If you have all day to clean your house, it will take you all day to clean it. If you have 45 minutes warning, so you have 45 minutes to clean your house, or you have 45 minutes warning that your friends are coming over. Maybe I say our coach is coming to visit you. It's going to take you 45 minutes to get it done, to get ready. I remember we went to visit a friend who had to go to the market to get stuff and come back and cook, and because I don't know what it was the timing, but once you start to play with that time frame, it's easy for you to get. So sure, it may be less of deep cleaning in 45 minutes than if you had a whole day to clean it. But we talked last week about the 80-20 rule. It also applies in this situation as well. And your house will be much cleaner than if you just had 1 hour to clean it. If you take a day to clean your house, you will do more, you will clean more, it will be tidier than if you just spent 45 minutes to clean your house. Let me kind of pull back a bit here. We're looking at the fact that we work better when we know that there's a time frame, there's a timeline. We work a lot better. If you don't know there's a timeline, it's going to be difficult, if not impossible, to get anything done. And if we want to consider the Parkinson law, which means that work would always fill whatever time you allocate to it. Last week, we talked a bit about the fact that, there's this adage, I don't have time. Everybody has 24 hours in life. Everybody, whether you're doing well, you're not doing well, whether you're a boss, you're employee, employer, makes no difference. We all have 24 hours. The question usually comes to how do we move our activities between those hours we have to produce results? How do you move? Now, let me give you an example. So if you put yourself on a cutoff time, or you do it regularly, it becomes pretty simple. Grab a kitchen timer, use an app, use your phone. Like for instance, I've been on call and my phone would ring. Like for instance, we've put Isabel on. She has to take her medication at a particular time. It's all on my phone. It's all on my phone. When to pick Isabel up from school, when to do this. Even this program, I get a notification 2 hours before the program. Usually the program is about 1 p.m. here. I get a notification at 11 a.m. Get another one at 12 a.m. So I'm using this because I know that if I don't get that in place, I have been, before now, I would suddenly remember that, hey, you have a program. And then by the time you're rushing, you get there and it's all rushy into the program. You don't ease into it. You're not relaxed. You're not feeling it. What eventually happens at the end of the day is that you get up, you are rushed, and you can't do your best work. So usually you want to make sure you give yourself ample time. I would rather go for a program and wait for the organizers. I would rather do that because then I have control. Like for instance, today I took my car in for oil change. I could have sat down there and done a few things and said, let me go for a walk. And while I was walking, I picked up the phone, I called a friend and we spoke and we were looking at plans, we were looking at things, just to bounce off ideas, to bounce off things with. And I did that until I came back to pick up the car. But I did that and I went to Wendy's and sat down there. I was sitting down and I was just walking and talking until my alarm went on that it was 11 o'clock, real conversation. So guess what happened? And I began to make my way back to where the garage was, picked up my car, took it in for a wash, and then came back to my workstation. But because I have those things, I've used my phone, and everybody has a phone. You have a timer on your phone to set what I call alarms on those times. It helps me to stay ahead of my task consistently. It wasn't always like that for me, but after a while of practice, after a bit of doing it like that, because I realized that it saves me a lot of time. If I decide not to, when I was leaving my time I will get it done. I didn't get a lot done, and it used to frustrate me. It used to stress me. Let me use that. It would, because I would review my day at the end of the day, and I realized that I was supposed to do this. What happened? How come I missed it? I was supposed to call this person. How come I missed that? That's unlike me. And then I will begin to flog myself and think I'm not adequate enough, I'm not organized enough. And that frustration will lead to a lot of things. And we understand that that's where pressure comes from most of the time. So I learned to put time. When I plan with time, I put them in blocks. What am I going to do between 4 and 5 a.m., between 5 and 6 a.m., between 6 and 7, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I look at them in those block of times when you decide what you want to do. So that means if I decide like this program is 60 minutes, which means after 60 minutes, this program is done. It's closed. There's no extension, there's no redo, it's done. After that, I have some things set up to do immediately after that. Those things give you a sense of belonging. I don't know about you. I know that people I have on the call, you run your business yourself. When it comes to time, I don't know if you're able to. You can either chat. I'll keep my eyes on the chat as well. If you can't talk because where you are is noisy, then you can chat. When it comes to managing your time, what has been your best tool? What have you used the best? What has worked for you? And I want to hear your thoughts when it comes to because I know you all have to manage between tasks, manage between projects, manage between schedules and all that. How do you work that? How does that work for you? And I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. So go ahead and if you can talk, just unmute yourself and go ahead. Let's hear you. All right, I see that most of you are in I call it listening mode. All right, I see you guys are all on listening mode. All right, you can chat if you can't talk. I would rather you chat it out than you talk it. So you can chat if you cannot talk. But go ahead and let me hear your thoughts when it comes to time management. How do you manage your time? How do you arrange yourself? What do you do? What do you do first? What do you do second? What do you do third? How do you get around this? How do you get around this? What's your go-to strategy? And I know we all have different strategies. So what's your go-to strategy when it comes to managing matters like this. I like to challenge folks a lot. So challenge yourself to get stuff done, not just done, but done faster and done on time. I told myself some time ago that one of the things that I want to kind of enact in the things that I'm doing is to learn to do something once, so I don't have to do it again. I don't have to repeat it, because sometimes I think repeating things sometimes can be a waste of time, and that's where technology can works for us, and we can actually take advantage of technology to a large extent. You can say to yourself, okay, so let's record something, and you can do that. You can decide to, I would record this, so it's going to play over again. I don't need to say it. Like I used to do something, I still do it, not I used to do something. If more than two persons ask me a particular question, sometimes it may not be framed in the same way, it might be framed differently, but it's the same response for the question. Automatically, what I do is that I begin to create a solution, a one-time solution for that, for them. Why do I do that? So it allows me, so for instance, you call me tomorrow and say, listen, that question, or you ask the same question, I'll just refer you to the material, or maybe someone talked about it. I'll just say, call this person and ask the person, or talk with this person, you'll get insight into what you're asking. The idea behind it is to get things done faster, and to get things done, not just faster right now, but also get them done once and for all. You may need to put a bit of consideration. That means a bit of thinking into the things that you're doing. I do this very often. I have my day or my week set in a particular direction. And I run that for the first week, the second week. The third week, I'm asking myself, okay, so I've done this back to back, so it's not a fluke. What can I do differently? What can I do differently? Okay, I see the says here, okay, organize yourself, write down your task, write down deadlines for each, allocate time for each of them, etc. That's wonderful. What I do in addition to this is that I will sit down and now ask myself, okay, these are my approaches to this thing. I will now take each of the steps. So like organize myself, I will take that organizing myself and I would break it down. And I will say, okay, how do I organize myself? I do this, this, this. How can I do that differently to be faster and more efficient? So maybe when I wake up in the morning to organize myself, let me use clothes, for instance. This morning I had to find somebody's clothes to wear. So I had to look for this particular one, look for this one, look for this one. Now, because they are in one place, you can go there, open it, you'll see her tops, her bottoms, underpants, all that stuff. So you can go to one place to get them. It's part of organizing yourself as well. Being able to know where you can go to get something. Sometimes we feel that to be scattered is an advantage. It's not an advantage. You have to understand that, I say this a lot, I say, imagine if your eyes were under your feet. It's going to be a dark day every day, except you want to be crawling on your butt with your hands up or your legs up. So it's called the accurate arrangement of things. You can't have proper deadlines, proper lifelines, I call them, proper cutoff points, if you don't have an organized environment. So could we say basic is what you said. Once you have things written down as tasks, tracking them off, ticking them off gives a very good feeling, opposite that feeling of frustration when you write down things, I can tick them off, this is done, this is done, this is done. Trust me, it really reduces. So I say that you two have found out the secret of no secret, of not frustrating yourself. You also said that it takes away frustration when you just run through the day and feel useless, even when you might have done some difficult juggling in the day. So true. What I now do is that, as I said, I will go back to review. Okay, so I want to organize myself. What does that mean? How can I do it more efficiently? That's the question. How can I do this with shorter time? Because I don't know about you, I realized that when you had just 2 shoes, it was easy to choose what to wear on your feet, either this shoe or that shoe. Then you had 2 more. Now you have to wonder which one to wear. Now you have to wonder which one will go with the pants and the shirt, which one will go with the suit, which one will go with the belt. But before, when you had just 2 belts, black or brown, it's either black or brown. Your options are easy. Your choices, you take less time. Sometimes the more things we have, it takes us to decide what to. So what I've learned to do now is either I'll bring out clothes to wear Monday. No, for me, so because of my program, so what it runs for me from Sunday to Saturday. I have clothes that I put out to wear. I may not wear them in the order of, oh, this is for Monday, this is for Tuesday. I might just go there and then I prefer this one. But once I wear that, I know that that is out of the equation. Making life easy for myself, it's critical. Because the older you get, the more organized you are, the less stress you will have. I don't know about you, but imagine if you go to look for something, you know you have it, but you don't know where you kept it. Like someone would say, you hit something so well that even you can't find it. Organizing your time, making sure that you're able to get your time in place, get your what you do. For instance, I decided to set up in this new place because I just wanted to change my environment. But to set that up, I have to make sure that I put things properly so that I can do what I want to do. And I ran a dry test. I said, okay, if I'm just recorded and talked to the camera and looked at where everything is, you have to organize your what I call your task, your daily activity, whether you are a business person or you run your thing or you are a 9-to-5 person. You have to make sure that if you don't organize, that's the worst way it comes. If you don't organize your tools or your materials or the things that you do. For instance, I know people who work 9-to-5. Some of these things kind of come home to me now. She would pick out her clothes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. She organized her clothes in a particular format. Her shoes, a particular format, her pants, particular format. So she knew, so depending on where she's going, she knew where to go to in her closet to get it. First of all, I realized that because she picks out her clothes Monday to Friday, she didn't have this issue of doubleness. Should I wear this or should I wear this? She had clothes for Monday, so Monday she's wearing Monday. The only reason she will not wear Monday is maybe she wanted to wear something light on Monday, and maybe it's the weather, it's cold, it's colder than it should be. Then guess what happens? Then it's going to affect those, but it's still going to be within those clothes. So maybe she had a nice dress, but now because of the weather, she's going to throw a wrap over that or something. But if you learn to pick that, and we do that very well. I also learned that when you now have children, you have to kind of do that with them as well. For those of us who say have younger children, I know some of you have older children who are big enough to get themselves organized. But you can still see that organizing themselves is one difficult task. I wonder sometimes when we as parents have a bit of issue that our kids are not organized, maybe because we didn't look at that as something to drive home when they were younger. When you are organized, it's easy to find something, it's easy to to get to something. It's easy to do something. So your deadline will be a lot more meaningful if you have yourself organized. If I tell myself that, okay, I am going to write a particular speech or a particular program or whatever. So I say I'm going to do this. But the things that I need to do that, so I'm going to do this in 1 hour. So once this program is over, I'm going to, do this. I'm going to write this, and I'm going to do that for 1 hour. And I'll get off this program, and 45 minutes after, I'm still looking for the material, the things I need to do what I said I would do. Guess what happens? I could be there for another 3 hours. Now, if you're like me, like some of us, you would say, well, I gave this thing 1 hour, and this is 45 minutes gone, so I'm just going to use the other 15 minutes to do what I can do and then move on. But at the end of the day, you wouldn't have accomplished. So if I say I want to do this after this program, say we're organized, I've got my slides for the program, I've got what I want to talk about for the program, also organize the things you need for that next task. So you are not going to be looking for them. You are going to be looking at one. Okay, I have that in place. So if I was going to write on whatever, I would have taken time out. Same way you plan. Same way you plan your goals. Taking time out to get things in place so that it's easy. Do like doctors do. You want to go for surgery, they have all the instruments ready. They're not going to be buying the knife at that time and say, we don't have knife. Please, you run to the market and get us knife. You get everything ready. Everything ready is a pointer that this project will go as planned. Otherwise, I'm sure I now have a doctor on the call. Your surgery will go longer than planned. So having things ready. So you get up in the morning, you organize yourself. The more you can do that, the quicker you can get through your day. What I found out that what will do that, it will force you to focus. You will stop wasting time. And when you focus and stop wasting time, automatically it jacks up productivity. If you are organizing yourself, you have the things where you want them to be, you have things in place for yourself, it becomes a lot easier to go through your day effectively. So you have a task to do, maybe you had one or two, but by 1 o'clock, they are all done. It means you can take the rest of your day to do something else, or to plan for tomorrow, or to plan for something else. But if you're always working on deadline, someone said to me that I shouldn't be packing. So last time I was in Nigeria, I was still packing on the day that I was flying out. I don't know why I do that, interestingly, for some reason. Because all I had to do was to sort out my suitcase, do what I need to do, get the things there. But I was still packing on the day. Thank God for good friends. I was still packing on the day that I was going to travel. Now, normally, you don't want to do that. That's not an effective way of doing things. You want to kind of get that done a day before that, so it gives you time to overlook things, make sure nothing is. It's just that at that time, it's more pressure for you, really. But you want to make sure that you can get things done on time. You want to have a program, you're going to a program, get everything that you need in place. Just treat things now as if you are a doctor who wants to perform surgery. Everything you need to be in place so that by the time you start, so when your day starts, now, how do you do that effectively? Because now I'm talking about you accomplishing your task, but making sure that all you need for the task is ready before you actually embark on the task. I know I have a few women on the call, and so let me ask, when you want to cook, do you make sure that you have all the ingredients on ground, or do you start cooking before you find out you have ingredients to cook? What do you do? take out time, make sure you have all the ingredients before you start cooking, or you just jump in and let's cook, and you start to cook. Nobody does that, at least not sound women like you. I know you don't do that. You get everything in place, and then there's something that is missing. Maybe this is missing and that's not there. You would call. Hey, listen, you talk. Maybe call your one of your children and say, listen, go get this, or let me get on the road. I'll go need to go get this. But you want everything ready. How do you do that averagely with all the business that we have? Make out time when you look at what you're looking to. You make sure the ingredients. Someone said, the doctor said she makes all the ingredients ready before she starts cooking. That's a wise woman. But some women just start cooking, and then they realize that they don't have this, they don't have this. I know on occasions of I started cooking and then I had to stop the cooking halfway because something wasn't there and it was missing, and I assumed that it was available. But that's the better way to do now. How do you translate this into your day, into your activity? It's not food. Okay, so for instance, and let me use a few things that I did, that I've done, that has worked for me. If you have a specific time at the end of the day, whatever time you want to allot to that, that's your call. When you can look at what you've done for the day and what you're looking to do tomorrow for the next day. And then if you can look at that, you can see, first of all, I like to be pretty realistic with my day. So I'm going to look at what my day was. I'm going to look at my day in the light of the goals or the things I had put to accomplish. If I had 10 things to do today and I only did 4, I don't tell myself, you tried. Instead, I tell myself, okay, I only did 4. Why did I only do 4? Was it that there were too many things on the table that I wanted to do? Was it that there was no time to do them? Reviewing my day objectively is to my advantage, because now I can look at the things that I didn't do well, the things that I should do more of, and the things that I should tweak. So I review my day. Now, this can take 10 minutes. It can take 20 minutes. It can take 30 minutes. It can take 60 minutes. It depends on how much time you want to allot to it, but you must review your day. Did your day work for you, or did you work for your day? Once you have done that, you can see the thing that you did not. So I said 10 things I was supposed to accomplish. I could only accomplish 4. So I have 6 things to contend with now. So I have what you call 6 carryovers. But before I carry them over, I have to look at my tomorrow and say, okay, what do I have planned for tomorrow? And I look at them, I have this. If I see 10 things again for tomorrow, something has to give. Because already 10, I said yesterday, I could only do 4. I'm going to look at that. Then I'm going to now ask myself, okay, out of these 10 things, which one is top 3, top 4? And then I'm going to take those ones. So whatever is not in those top, I can move them to the next day, and say, just still filtering them until I can get them done. But I have 6 things that I've carried over already. So how do I deal with that? I have to determine, so before I go into moving them to the next day or spreading them out or whatever, I have to ask myself, is this 10 an ideal thing to set? Because sometimes, like food, if you take too much into your mouth, you won't be able to effectively chew. And some food, you need to chew them well before you swallow them. So if you can take small bites, the better. So it means that I didn't do well in my previous day planning for today because I couldn't have been planning to accomplish 10 things. How do I want to do that? I will now look at, did I put enough cut-off timing for them? Did they have enough cut-off time? Because if I wanted to do 10 things and each of them would take 1 hour, that means I'm looking at 10 hours to get them done. So I can review those things. I can say, All right, so I see where my issue here is. I have too many things that I put on the table in one day, and I need to now look at them. So I can take those 6, look at the 4 for tomorrow. Remember that the other ones, I've already taken them off the table. So they're not something that I'm looking at accomplishing. I just have maybe now, because of this 2, sometimes I'd say, okay, let's look at the top 2 for tomorrow. And then zero down the top 2, and then sit on the top 2 for tomorrow. By the time I add that to this, I have 8 things I need to do. I now look at the same priority list again and look, okay, which one is the top 4 in these 8 things? And then I can use that to what you call to augment my day after, my day after, my day after, until at the end of maybe 2 weeks, I have accomplished all the things that I was looking to accomplish. I have gotten them off my table. So now I can, put my normal doable or sizable goal for each of the tasks or each of the day. For me, even a week, I only have 3 things tops to accomplish. Even in a week, I don't have more than 3. I keep mine to 3 consistently. I could have 10 things on the table. I would always ask, what's my top 3? I'm always going to go for my top 3. What's the top 3 things to do? What's the top 3 things I want to accomplish today? So when I'm reviewing my day, I'm reviewing them in the light of the top 3 things that I wanted to do. Once those 3 things are done, everything else is secondary. You have to have what I call primary task, which is this, whether it is top 3 for you. If you can manage 5, you can make it top 5. If you can manage 7, although you are beginning to get too much, you can manage 7, but you want to keep your task in a way that they are manageable. I would rather that you accomplished 10 things in 10 days than to put 10 things in front of you and 10 days you have not even done 5. Because you keep carrying, and then the more, just like Kobe mentioned, the more you keep carrying them over, after a while, they become frustrating for you, because when we are productive, we are kind of happy with ourselves. Sometimes, I don't know if it happened to you, like, man, that's a good job you did, Aniekan, and maybe give yourself a pat on the back. We are always excited. We're always anticipating when we, dopamine, correct. It gets you, and the more you do, and sometimes it's interesting that if you can accomplish small things, and you keep charging up your dopamines, after a while it will become supercharged. So look at the thing that you're looking to do. So now I have my story. I have 8 things now on the table for tomorrow, and then I'm asking myself, what's my top 3? If I do my top 3 tomorrow, I could do my top 3 again the day after tomorrow. By the 3rd day, I would have cleared what I need to do. Now, these are for tasks that are not continuum. So, some tasks you have to do them every day, like having a wash, brushing your teeth, combing your hair, if you have hair like me, grooming, maybe cutting your nails. Some things you have to do consistently. Like I tell myself, for those of you who as someone asked me this, I cut my hair twice a week, and I do that myself. I have my shaver. I just enter the bathroom, do it every Wednesday morning, every Saturday or Sunday morning. It's set in stone. Some things you have to do repeatedly, set a time for them. Some things, once you have done them, that's it. Set a time for it, but you must have cutoff points. Now, I'm going to use the next 10 minutes. I want to share 7 powerful questions. Now, I know this is another conversation down the road, but sometimes the questions that you ask yourself or ask around determines the kind of answers that you get. One thing I learned that I'm kind of grateful for is I learned how to ask questions. Someone said to me recently, said, coach, I have realized that you know how to use questions to find out things. I said yes, because it's very easy to assume. Jamaica, one of my mentors said to me that assumption is the lowest form of knowledge. So I don't assume. I don't take it that I know. I don't know. So I have learned the act of questioning, and I hope that I can maybe have a training that I can walk a few people through. How do you ask questions? You have to understand, you have to know how to ask questions to find out because sometimes I could do something, it may look wrong or even right, but you don't understand what my intention really is. What am I looking at? What was I looking at to do this? So it's pretty easy. So you need to know how to ask questions. And when you are asking questions, there are questions you are asking, like they taught me about probing questions. I want to find out more. I don't like to eat in the morning. Why don't you like eating in the morning? Is it something about morning or morning sickness? And I realized that the more I ask, now I've taught you how to use why to the fifth. So why do you do this? Because of this. Why do you do that? Because of. So you keep asking yourself why until you can find out what's really the root reason why I do something. So I'm going to share these questions. I'm going to share them in the chat so you can keep your eye on the chat. I wanted you to look at them. I call them the pretty powerful questions. When you have to deal with something, and let me put that here, and I'm going to start with number one. Okay. The first question usually. So when I want to solve a particular problem, I want to, like we're talking about organizing your day, make sure your day is working for you. I want to ask certain questions when I'm planning my day. What outcome do I want? What outcome do I want? What results do I want? I'm going to go and I'm going to go to my, I'm going to go to my brother's place and I'm going to say this to him or say that to him, or I'm going to go and I'm going to take his car and drive. What's the outcome that I'm expecting? And I need to understand what outcome I'm expecting. What do I want from this? Once I am clear about what I want, what outcome I want, I need to look at that holistically. So, okay, this is what I want. But what about the other person? What about the other person? Would it be a win-win for them? I tell people, I said, if something's not a win-win, I don't like to touch it. You've got to win, I've got to win. I don't like this, don't worry, okay, you win this time. Maybe next time I'll win. No, you have to. It's for me, for it to be anything meaningful, you have to win, I have to win. It's my approach to life. The second thing that I also would ask myself is, what's the best, now there are two questions, what's the best thing that can happen? So this is my outcome, okay, but what's the best thing that can happen? And I'm going to post, so I'm just going to post this question so you can either copy it from the chat or you can look at it. What's the best thing that could happen? Sometimes you might ask yourself, what's the worst thing that could happen? So, okay, I'm going to eat. I've not been watching my height or watching my weight or something, but today I'm going to eat cake. I'm going to eat half cake or something. What's the worst thing that can happen? What's the best thing that can happen? Sometimes you might find out that the worst thing that can happen is that you will start to do this again and again and again. It will become a pattern for you. So sometimes you might say, I better not start it then. Or you might say, the ones that will happen is that I just eating this day and that's it, I'm done. I'm not eating it at the end of the day. So look at what you look at the outcome. Now, what's the best thing that can happen, even in that outcome? And you might also flip that. What's the worst thing that can happen? The third question I like to ask myself, and I want to, is that what feels most urgent for you right now? Now, when I say what feels more urgent, sometimes I think we take other people's urgency I said something to a friend yesterday. I said, he said, someone called me and he said, it might be an emergency. I said, it's an emergency, call 911. If it is urgency, call FedEx. Emergency, because I'm not a something response. So call FedEx if it's urgent, very urgent. You need to get it from point A to point B. But it's an emergency, call 911. Sometimes we make other people's emergency our emergency. You don't want to do that. Fourthly, what do you need to do first? Now we talk about priority. Sometimes not understanding what you need to do first, okay, can throw you off balance. And if you start to do the third thing in place of the first thing suffers. The second thing suffers. So what is it that you have to do first? You have to determine that. Now, we're talking about planning your day, right? So what you need to be asking yourself, what questions you need to look at before you hit the day. And then you need to, who do you need to talk to? Who do I need to talk to? Who can I best reach out to? Who should I, work with? In terms of this thing, who do I talk to? You need to determine that. Then once you have determined, so you remind me what you need to do first. You also need to determine what you need to do second and third and fourth and fifth. You have to put whatever you're doing in a sequence that allows, the idea is this: I don't want to pursue good for best. I don't want to pursue okay for good. So what do you need to do second and third and so on? And then this is the last question. Now, this is not cast in stone. So these questions are not all inclusive. You can still, and maybe I will ask you to add a few more questions. When do you need to do this by? Which leads us to what we'll be talking about. You need to be able to have a time, a definite time when you intend to, you hope to finish this particular thing. When do you start it? When do you finish it? If you understand when to start and when to finish, then this that I've put here would make a bit more sense for you. And I'm going to, I know some of you are just checking in now, I'm going to kind of put that all together so you can have the 7 questions that I'd like to ask in order to make sure that my day is doing for me or will do for me what I intended to do. And I'm going to post that here as well so it's going to help you. For those of you who already have organized days, guess what? It's going to even help you even further. So number 1, what outcome do I want? What is the best thing that could come out of this that could happen? What's the worst thing that could happen? What feels most urgent for me right now? What do I need to do first? And then second and third and fourth, who do I need to talk to? Sometimes you might need to talk to a doctor. You might need to talk to a coach. You might need to talk to a mentor. You might need to talk to your parents. You might need to talk to some leader, but you need to identify who you need to talk to. Now, you have to qualify who you talk to on certain matters. I told you this before, and I'm going to allude to it. Sometimes if you take your 10-foot goal and you go talk to a 7-footer, you will end up reducing it to 7 feet, which means it will not be as high as when you first talked about it. So sometimes I spoke last week about having people who are on the same level with you, people who are where you're going to, and then people who are looking up to you. I think that the mistake we do is that we spend more time with people that are looking up to us. So we pull them up, pull everybody up. Now everybody is now up. You guys are now plateaued. What you want to do is to make sure that as much as I'm doing that, so I have a cup. Every time I empty my cup, I must fill my cup again. If I keep emptying and then it finishes and I remain like that, I would, after a while, You know, and I don't know if it's happened to you. You think that I've been doing this, I've been giving to this, I've been that, but see what's the outcome. Sometimes we need to just relax and fill back our cup. So let me try and wrap this up and see if we can make this make sense for us. We said that the key thing we're looking at, for your day to be productive, you have to have either lifelines or cut-off points, cut-off time to do this. You can't have 6 tasks or 3 tasks to do in the day and you spend the whole day doing one. 2 will suffer. We also talked about the fact that for your day to be as productive as you want it, you have to have the things you need to get that task done. You have to have it in place. Like for instance, you want to prepare food. It's better. I like the fact that Tokwe even mentioned that you have to have the ingredients that you need to cook that particular food ready. And if something is not ready, don't start yet. Get everything ready. It would enable you to use time wisely. You'll be able to do your best work in the shorter time than to just keep doing it. And we said that's critical. We looked at the fact that one of my mentors, Jim Rohn, said, what is easy to do or what is simple to do is also simple not to do. So this is the bottom line. Whatever your day is, for some of you, I know your day is over, is like, I don't know, 6, 7 p.m. now. It's getting to 7 p.m. So your day is like over. Once you get off this call, take out 10 minutes and say, okay, what are the things ask yourself those questions for tomorrow? What do I want for tomorrow? What's my outcome for tomorrow? What do I want to, who I need to talk with? And then ask yourself those questions and use it to kind of plan your tomorrow. But before you do that, make sure that you've looked at your day. What are your highs? What are your lows? What would you do differently? What would you tweak? What would you do less of? Look at that for today and then use that to augment your tomorrow. And finally, I said, don't put too many things into your day. If you do, you would end up choking. And I think as Coach Bibi said, you will end up, it will frustrate you. Because when you write down what you want to do and you're going there and you're ticking them, this done, I would rather that you had 3 things to accomplish tomorrow and you finish them midday. If you do, just go back to what else can I do? I have time and add a bit more things to do. I'd rather you do that than you have 10 things and you only were able to accomplish 3 or 4 of them. That's the idea. That's what I'm looking at. So that's what I wanted to kind of take back with you. Now, I don't know if you have questions. If you do, let me give you an email. It's a few people ask sometimes some things that we bring to share. They come from questions. Someone said to me some time ago, I don't have time. And that's where I began to look at this productivity hack that if you say you don't have time, there's not really a time factor. It's bottom line. And right now I'm working with a very good friend of mine. She's going to produce a program on for those of us who say I don't have time, to look at how to best manage time. But let me give you this email. It's something that would help. If you have questions after this, you're not locked up to this one hour to do anything. You can always still reach out and say, listen, Coach, this is a question I have. And the questions that people send to me are anonymous. We don't discuss the names of the persons, but trust me, everything that we talk about is something someone has asked me. Some people have asked me, and I feel, hey, listen, this is a better opportunity because what happens after this, I record this. This is recorded and it's put on our YouTube channel, so you can always go watch it again and again. I want to say thank you. If you have any question, I'm going to give you, we're already 1 minute above. We're going to give you a few seconds. If you have a question, you can ask. If you have a comment, you can, and if you don't, you can always chat. But grab that email address, and if you have questions, let us know. It's been real conversation with Coach Aniekan and I want to say thank you. Thank you, Coach Baby. I hope you're doing better now. Dr. Ebola, thank you very much. Thank you, Coach To. Thank you, Timmy Tokwe. You folks have covered. If I missed your name, please forgive me. Thank you for spending the last 60 minutes with me. Have yourself a wonderful evening, a good afternoon, and I'll see you same time next week. Bye-bye.